educators, I'm here to introduce to you our webinar entitled Integration of Information and Communication Technology in Actual Teaching. But before we proceed to our respective webinar, we will have first the prayer and after which the singing of national anthem. Now, I would like to formally welcome you all to our webinar, which is composed of the lessons from Unit 2, the Instructional Designs and Theoretical Foundations. At the end of this webinar, you'll be able to discuss the different instructional designs and theoretical foundations, as well as the modes of instructional delivery, using information and communication technology in teaching and learning. Utilize the guidelines in the selection, use, and evaluation of instructional technology. Enhance creativity and critical thinking skills with the positive use of ICT in teaching. And demonstrate the understanding of a supportive online learning environment that nurtures and inspires individual and collaborative activities. And now, I would like to formally introduce to you our first speaker. She's a graduate of Manaksak Senior High School from Technical, Vocational, and Livelihood Strand. Graduated with honors and with Leadership Award. Currently, she's a second-year student taking up Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in Industrial Arts at Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology. Let's all give a warm applause for Miss Margarette Aguilar.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day, everyone. The topic I will discuss is all about instructional designs. These design models provide guidelines to organize the practices of creating instructional experiences and appropriate pedagogical setups to achieve instructional goals. There are several other modes of delivery that can also be very effective for the 21st century learner. Instructional designs is also known as Instructional System Design or ISD. It involves an interactive process of planning outcomes, selecting effective strategies for teaching and learning, choosing relevant technologies, identifying educational media, and measuring performance. In instructional design, there are so many models that we can use, but for now, let us discuss the 6 different types of instructional designs model. First is the ADDIE model. ADDIE model is a process used by training developers and instructional designers to plan and create effective learning experiences. ADDIE is an acronym that stands for A for analysis, D for design, D for development, I for implementation, and E for evaluation. First, let us define the A, which is analysis. Analysis, the first stage, means to analyze the current situation to understand the gaps you need to fill. Analysis phase can be considered as the goal-setting stage. The focus of the designer in this phase is on the target audience and to secure that what they already know so it won't be duplicated, and that the focus will instead be on topic and lessons the student have yet to explore and learn. Sa analysis phase, kailangan suriin ng maigi kung ano ba ang mga problema na kailangan solusyonan, kung sino ang mga dadalo, kung ano ang kailangan nilang matutunan, at kung ano ba ang kalalabasan nito. Sa madaling salita, kailangan mong planuhin na maayos at wala ng problema. Next is D for design. Based on your analysis, make informed decisions to design the best possible learning experiences. In the design phase, the focus is on learning objectives, content, subject matter analysis, exercise, lesson, planning, assessment, instruments use, and media selection. Sa design stage naman, dito nalalabas at magagamit ang storyboard or script na naplano mo during analysis stage. Sa stage na ito, kailangan buong-buo at maayos na at wala ng problema. Next is development. Bring your learning experiences to life building your end product. In this stage, designers make sure of the data collected from the 2 previous stages and use this information to create a program that will relay what needs to be taught in participants. Sa development, dito mo na magagamit ang mga storyboard or script na nabuo mo para makatulong sa paggawa ng mga videos o mga recordings. Next is implementation. Distribute your learning end product to your audience. Implementation develops procedures for training facilitators. Training facilitators cover the curriculum, learning outcomes, method of delivery, and testing procedures. Implementation includes evaluation of design. The purpose of this stage is effective and efficient delivery of instruction. Also, in this stage, preparing the learners and arranging the learning space are important. It is essential to prepare the learners and make sure they have the tools and knowledge. Last is evaluation stage. Means evaluate if your learning end product is effective and meeting its goals. Make any necessary updates and cycle back to the analysis phase. Evaluation measures the effectiveness and efficiency of the instruction. Evaluation may also be formative or summative. Formative assessment or formative evaluation is used to monitor students' learning to provide ongoing feedback that can be used by the instructors or the teachers to improve their teaching and by the student to improve their learning. Formative as a process. This way the teachers can see the students grow. Summative use to evaluate the student learning at the end of an instructional unit. Next type of instructional model is the Hanapin and Peck design model. The Hanapin and Peck design model is a three-phase model. The first phase is the needs assess, second is the design phase, and third is the develop or implement. The first phase consists of determining the program's objectives, requires one to create reasonable goals. In phase 1, it includes the needs of your learners such as their goals and acquire knowledge that they needed and also the performance gaps. And you must also develop an objective. So in developing an objective, you must know your target outcome. To identify the needs of your learners, you can use survey or other feedback tools. After analyzing the needs of your learner, it should be evaluate and goes through the process of revision. Then after that, you can go now to the phase 2, which is the design. In this phase, creating a way to achieve those goals, user control of the screen design prevents the instructional process from becoming tedious and monotonous. In this phase, it is the time you are going to map out every data that you get from the phase 1. You will come up in creating a storyboard on an outline that highlights your assessments that we're going to use. And dito mo din makikita kung paano mo pupunan ang mga pangangailangan o kailangan ng iyong learners. At gaya din sa phase 1, it should be goes through the process of evaluation and revision. And now, we can proceed to the phase 3, which is development or implementation. This is where the program is put into place and decision must be made as to continue with it or to revise it. All the elements that were designed in the previous phase are translated into a more practical, either with the help of programming language, authoring, and so on. This final phase involves developing, implementing your design model. So in this phase, you are going to put all your data into practical manner. It is more on execution. So meaning you are putting it in all an application. Again, all the phases goes through the process of evaluation, and phase 3 will undergo to the process of evaluation and revision. All of the phases involve a process of evaluation and revision, but evaluation and revision is not a phase. The process of evaluation and revision is to ensure the site developer to meet the educational objectives and give a clear guidance to developers to create in a systematic and effective. Next is the Dig and Carry design model. It is also known as system approach model. Dig and Carry design model is a 9-step process for planning, training, and development initiatives. It is more detailed than the ADI model and provides for ongoing revision and iterative development. Dig and Carry design models is all about the relationship between educational content, context, learning behavior, and instructional technique. The first step process in Dig and Carry is identify instructional goals. Identify what is the learners are expected to be able to do at the end of the instruction. This step is to clarify your goals and objectives. The learners must be aware of what they will be able to do when they complete the lesson, including the skills they will develop and knowledge they will acquire. Make sure to tie it to the real-world applications so that they know how the lessons can benefit them outside the learning environment. Step 2 is conduct instructional analysis. This step is about determining what your learners already know so that you can figure out how to fill the learning gap. This is done through assessments, interviews, and surveys that focus to their current skills and knowledge. Step 3 is identify entry behaviors. In Step 3, you need to conduct an assessment to determine your learners' behaviors, traits, personal preferences, and motivation factors. You need to focus on the characteristics that pertains directly to the goals of objectives for your lessons. This helps you to narrow the specific activity that is vital for your lessons rather than covering information that they already acquired. You can identify all the ideas and concepts that you should include to provide a comprehensive and personalized learning experience. Step 4. Write performance objectives. In addition to the learning goals, you must also develop the performance objectives that clearly describe the tasks or goals that must be mastered as well as the criteria that you are going to nurture the progress. The learning tools you use is SMART, which is S for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for relevant, and T for time-based. And you should lay all the tasks and processes that must be mastered on how will be assessed. Step 5. Develop criterion reference tests. No learning strategy is complete without an effective assessment plan. It involves the finding ideal learning assessment type for your learning such as the multiple choice questions or written output scenarios as well as grading rubric and criteria. Tests and evaluations are created that will ensure the learners meet the prerequisites for performing new skills, identify the learner's progress in meeting the performance objectives during the learning process, and evaluate the learning process itself to ensure it is an instructional exam. Step 6. Develop instruction strategy. Now that you are already done research and develop your objectives and goals, it is the time to create a sound instructional learning strategy for your audience. You also need to create a blueprint if your learning strategies that will transfer, develop, and reinforce the skills and knowledge or related for the performance objectives. Also, sequence the items in the blueprint order that will provide the best learning environment. Step 7. Develop and select instructional materials. Using a blueprint created in the previous step, fully develop the instructional content and activities. Materials, tools, exercises, and delivery media should be considered once you have defined your learning strategies. It may include the face-to-face, group mates, facilitate online learning materials. Step 8. Develop and conduct formative evaluation. Use iterative design models such as prototypes, small building groups trials, or interview with prospective learning so that you can collect data to identify areas and instructional materials that need improve before releasing the instructional for actual use. Amplify any weak areas instruction. Now it's time to fix that. Ensure that every element are effective as soon as possible. This may require major rewrite of your learning content for your written activities if necessary. Keep in mind that before to remedy the problems now rather than risking your front image with influent lesson later. Step 9. Develop and conduct summative evaluation. The last step in assessing whether your instruction actually achieves the desired outcome. It is truly determined through learners' assessments such as tests at the end of the lesson, performance, and exam.
Thank you for your wonderful discussion, Ms. Aguilar. And now, our second speaker is a graduate of Aliaga National High School from Humanities and Social Sciences strand, a consistent honor student and graduated with the Researcher of the Year award. Currently, she's also a second-year student taking up Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in Industrial Arts at NEUST. Again, let's all give a warm applause for Ms. Rasheen Faye Alejandro.
Thank you, Ma'am Yosha. Again, good morning, everyone. What am I going to discuss here is just a continuation of the instructional design models. So, let's begin. The fourth instructional design model is what we call Azure model. It is a systematic approach to writing lesson plans, a plan used to help teachers to organize instructional procedures. It is a procedural guide for planning and delivering instruction that integrates technology and media into the teaching process. So when we say procedural guide, it is a step-by-step procedure. This model can be used by all presenters, and it is also a plan used to help teachers to do an authentic assessment of student learning. Azure model gets its name from the following 6 stages involved in the process. The first one is letter A. It means analyze learners. Here, you're going to analyze the learners by identifying their preferences, goals, needs, and expectations, so that the instructional designers can develop a program that caters to the expectation of the learners. Next, letter S. State standards and objectives. Here, you need to determine the objectives and the standards for the program. The question here is, what do students need to learn? Remember that objectives should be concrete, demonstrable, and testable. Another, letter S, select methods and media. So after stating the objectives, the third stage decides which media or technology will be used based on the content. The question here is, what do instructors need to use in online, hybrid, or face-to-face learning? Next letter is U. Utilize media and technology. This stage focuses on how media and technology will be implemented. Organizations should decide how they're going to most effectively assign, deliver, and provide access to their learning technologies. The second to the last letter is R. Require learner participation. It determines how learners will be engaged in the learning process or throughout the learning process. And last, letter E. Evaluate and revise. This is the final stage in Azure model that evaluates the impact of your training program by examining learning strategies, as well as the technology, media, and materials used throughout the program. The evaluation stage determines whether the objectives or the learning objectives are met, if the choice of technology and media are effective or successful. The next instructional design model is Robert Gain and the 9 events of instruction. According to Robert Gain, there are 9 events that activate processes needed for effective learning. The events of instruction are related to the learning process. The events of instruction lead to various learning outcomes. The events of instruction support the internal processes of learning. Robert Gates and 9 events of instruction helps trainers, teachers, and instructional designers structure their training sessions. This model is a systematic process that helps them develop strategies and create activities for instructional classes. So here are the 9 events of instruction. Let's begin with the number 1, gain attention. Obtains student attention so that they will watch and listen while the instructor presents the learning content. We all know that there are many distractions upon the classroom or inside the classroom. And it is important to capture the attention of our students. The second event of instruction is inform learners of objectives. Allow students to organize their thoughts and prioritize their attention regarding what they are about to learn and do. The learning objective is typically shared with students early on the lesson. The third instruction or the third event of instruction is stimulate recall of prior learning. Encourage students to build on previous knowledge or skills. It simply means that teachers should connect the current lesson to into the prior knowledge of the learner. The fourth event of instruction is present the content. Show and explain the material you want students to learn. After drawing on the prior knowledge, the content is then presented to each learner. The fifth event of instruction is provide learning guidance. Provide students with instructions on how to learn, such as guided activities or common pitfalls. Teachers should provide instruction on how to learn. The sixth event of instruction is elicit performance or practice. It allows students to apply knowledge and skills learned. The students here will demonstrate their understanding with the performance. So an example of elicit performance or practice is role playing. Verse 7, provide feedback. Gives students feedback on individualized tasks, thereby collecting isolated problems rather than having a little idea of where problems and inconsistencies in learning are occurring. We all know that feedback is the most valuable tool used to keep students on track towards the learning goal. Number 8, assess performance. It helps students identify the content areas they have not mastered. Assessing students' performance is usually demonstrated in the form of summative assessment. The last one is enhance retention and transfer to the job. It prepares students to apply information to personal contexts. This increases retention by personalizing information. One way to support retention of skills is by practice. The last instructional design is what we call Dale's Cone of Experience. It is a visual model that is composed of 11 stages, starting from concrete experiences at the bottom of the cone, then it becomes more and more abstract as it reaches the peak of the cone. According to Dale, the arrangement in the cone is not based on its difficulty, but rather based on abstraction and on the number of the senses involved. The experiences in each stages can be mixed or interrelated that fosters more meaningful learning. So it helps the teachers to plan different kinds of learning experiences. Okay, so take a look at the cone. The color red is for verbal and the color orange is for visual symbols. This level of experience involves reading, hearing, and seeing of information. Visual symbolic level involves charts, maps, graphs, and diagrams used in abstract representations, while the verbal symbol level involves words, ideas, principles, and formulas. Yellow, orange, and light yellow colors focus on observing activities such as seeing pictures and hearing recordings. The level of television, motion pictures, and pictures are counted in. The remaining colors, such as yellow, light green, and yellow green, are part of the third and the most concrete category in this model. The exhibits, followed by the field trips, are the levels that extend the understanding and experiences through trips or visits that are not just restricted to classroom but in the more complex nature. The demonstrations are important level to understand the visualized explanation of important ideas or any process through the use of images, illustrations, film, and other types of media in order to facilitate clear and effective learning. The next color is violet, which is about the dramatized experiences. In this level, the experiences are built for learners for their better understanding of a particular event or concept. The second to the last color, which is sky blue, talks about the contrived experiences, which is the representation of any experiences which is close to reality. The last color, which is blue, talks about the direct or postful experiences. These experiences serve as a foundation of learning. Here, more senses are used in order to shape knowledge, and the learner learned by doing things by themselves. And that ends my presentation. Again, good morning everyone and have a great day ahead.
That's a fruitful discussion, Miss Alejandro. Thank you. And for our last speaker, she is a graduate of Nueva Ecija High School to Senior High School from Humanities and Social Sciences strand. Also, a consistent honor student and graduated with a research award. And currently, she is also a second year student taking up Bachelor of Science in Industrial Education, major in Industrial Arts at NUST. For our last speaker, let's all give a warm applause for Miss Yoshabel Adsuara.
Thank you, Ms. Aguilar, for your heartful introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Yoshabel, and this would be the last topic in this webinar. So this is theoretical foundations. Theoretical foundations are those learning theories that provides conceptual framework that can describe the manner in which information is absorbed, processed, and retained during learning. So these learning theories, ito yung mga theories na maaring magpaliwanag sa atin kung paano ba tayo natututo or paano tayo nagpe-perceive ng mga information or mga knowledge. So we have four different learning theories. So the first one we have here is behaviorism. For the word itself, behavior. So sinasabi dito sa unang theory natin is yung behavior na meron tayo ay na-acquire natin sa environment or sa community na meron tayo. The most common na malaki yung impact sa behavior natin is yung family natin. Kasi as we grow old, yung family natin ang mostly nakakasama natin, di ba? So, yung mga behavior na meron sila na nakikita natin is na-acquire natin yun. Like, nakikita natin na ginagawa nila. So, iisipin natin na tama yun. So, gagawin din natin. So, normally din kasi, yung family natin na nagtuturo sa atin, unang-una nagtuturo sa atin kung paano ba tayo mag-act ng tama sa ibang tao. So, dagdag na lang dun, yung ibang taong nakapaligid sa atin, sa community natin. So, meron silang impact pagdating sa behavior natin. Lalo na ngayon kung ano yung mga trend sa paligid natin. Kumbaga parang na-absorb natin yun kasi alam natin na yung iba, ganun din yung pag-uugali na meron sila. So, sinasabi din na some behavior is innate or inherited factors. So, pwedeng yung some of our behavior is namana natin sa parents natin, ganun. So, next is cognitivism. So, in this learning theory, it uses the mind as a processor, so like a computer. So, it focuses on how information is received, organized, stored, and retrieved by mind. Dito sa theory na to, is ipinapaliwanag kung paano ba pinaprocess ng utak natin yung mga information na nakukuha natin and kung paano natin siya inaayos, ginagamit sa tamang paraan. Therefore, cognitivism looks beyond observable behavior, viewing learning as internal mental processes. So, third is constructivism. So, the constructivism, sinasabi sa theory na to is, people actively construct or make their own knowledge based on their past experiences. So, meaning, yung mga naging past experiences natin is meron siyang malaking impact sa experiences na meron tayo ngayon. For example, kasi dito is yung parang, ito yung part na masasabi mo matututo ka sa kamalian mo. For example, dito is, halimbawa, sa school, nagbigay ng exam yung teacher mo and hindi ka nag-review. So, therefore, bumagsak ka. So, ngayon, binigyan kayo ng chance na mag-remedial class. So, dahil sa past experiences mo na hindi ka nag-review, bumagsak ka. So, kaya ka nandun sa remedial class ng teacher mo. Ang gagawin mo, syempre, dahil natuto ka na nga, magre-review ka na para makapasa ka na. So, ganun lang yun. Yung mind natin is nag-look forward sa mga past experiences natin para mag-create ng mga new knowledge, ng new information na magiging kapakinabang. And last is the connectivism. So, a relatively new learning theory that suggests students should combine thoughts, theories, and general information in useful manner. So, dito sa part na to, lahat na ng mga na-perceive natin yung behavior, information, from past experiences, dito na natin kino-combine lahat na yung mind natin is nagpa-function as ano ba yung mga information na mga tama, ano ba dito yung mga mali, ano ba dito yung mga dapat kong i-apply sa buhay ko, na alam mong magiging kapaki-pakinabang. So, it accepts that technology is a major part of the learning process. So, like now na madami ng innovation. And it also gives constant connectedness, give us opportunities to make choices about our learning. So, that is the 4 different learning theories and I hope na natutunan nyo kung ano yung pagkakaiba-iba ng 4 na theories na yun.
Wow! Thank you very much for those wonderful lessons that you have shared to us today, speakers. I really learned a lot and I hope you do too. And for your attendance today, kindly answer these 3 questions in the comment box of our Facebook Learning Group with the hashtag ICT in Teaching. And if you have questions, just also type it in the comment box with the hashtag question in ICT for Teaching. Again, thank you very much for your attendance today. We really appreciate especially the presence of Sir Jermil Angeles. Once again, this is our webinar entitled Integration of Information and Communication Technology in Actual Teaching. We would love to see everyone becoming the best teacher that you could be by using those instructional designs and applying those theoretical foundations in your journey towards achieving your future profession. And that would be all. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. God bless.